What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Stock versus Not. And as you can see from the top, we are now back in a proper sports car. That is the Toyota GT86. This is the 2015 model. Basically, this was the quote-unquote replacement to the Scion FRS. Basically the same car. You know the deal. Scion wanted to do all the cool, youthful things, and then Scion ended up not being around anymore. So anyways, we are in the GT86 today. That is the Toyota. We are here with a performance point of 444.47, making 197 horsepower. It's featherweight modern sports car status at 2,700 pounds. It is naturally aspirated, front engine, rear-wheel drive, and you know this is the infamous boxer engine. Oddly enough, this car from the dealership stock comes on comfort soft tires, which I find a little funny because the Focus STs came on sports hards. So that's just one thing to consider when you're getting into one of these things. For those of you who are familiar with the channel, I do have experience in the Scion FRS. I did do an autocross in one about a year ago, and it was a properly set up car, and I loved every single second of it when it was set up properly. I don't know what a stock one drives like, but I'd imagine it's just as good, but obviously the one that's fully modified is a lot better. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of a disclaimer on this video and for future videos. As you know, this is a Toyota Guru or Toyota Brew or whatever they call it, Subaru Toyota joint venture on these cars. So you know that there was the GT86 and then Subaru had the BRZ. Gran Turismo 7 does offer the BRZ options in the game. However, when we get to Subaru, I am not going to do a stock versus not on those cars because it's the same car. I don't believe it's going to drive any different. You go to real life, it's just down to, do you want a Toyota or do you want a Subaru? Same deal. The aftermarket, everything is swapped, is the same, so there's no need for me to go and try to do a stock versus not on basically a car that I already have done. So sorry if you're a Subaru fan, it's still the same car. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. So anyway, back to this video. How does this drive in stock form? This is a very controllable car. Even with the comfort soft tires, it's not really struggling for grip. I guess you can argue, and as a lot of people have complained about this vehicle, it is a little underpowered. You know, sub 200 for a sports coupe is always leads for more to be asked. Very Miata-esque with its ideology, but it's not bad to drive in stock form. Comfort soft tires, they handle the car just well, and the car is not a handful through the Suzuka circuit. The brakes are nice, and clip the slippery stuff there, but nice catch. And I'll be honest with you, that was something totally, I'm doing this, right off the cuff. Like, I don't plan on what I'm going to say or anything, but that just happened. And I remember when this car first came out, reviewers and journalists were always raving about the fact that this car was so tossable, but you can control it very easily. So even in Gran Turismo, they were able to capture that essence of how this car is just so easy to drive. So let's go ahead and finish off the stock lap here. I don't think we're going to get anything better out of it. Let's see. We do 104.36. Not bad. Let's go ahead and see where that leads us on the board of leadership. It's going to be performance point of 500. GT86 on comfort softs is actually slower than the Focus ST, surprisingly. That is interesting to see. Obviously, the Focus ST is a little bit more powerful at 250 horsepower, and it's turbocharged. So that's something to take into consideration. So just very interesting to see that. Let's go ahead and swap into the fully modified GT86. That is bumping us up to 660 performance points, 411 horsepower, 2,400 pounds, still front engine rear-wheel drive, and we're now turbocharged. And looking at the cockpit view, the Logitech G29 wheel that I'm using looks very similar in design, I guess, to the GT86 steering wheel. Only thing is that obviously GT86 does not have any buttons on it, or at least the FRS didn't. I don't know if they added any later on, but that was one thing that I really liked about the FRS when it first came out. That it was such a simple car. It was, you know, manual transmission, you know, lightweight, just, you know, still very analog for such a digital time. This car is handling beautifully through the S's. As always, I do put suspension tuning setup on here, and I always say it, and I think I just need to make a totally separate segment on how I set up these cars. I'm no expert, but I know enough to help me out for the most part. But this car is just the handling that this car gives you from out of the box. And the fact that once you put coilovers, sway bars, things like that on this car, it just makes the car an absolute track weapon. And anyone who has one of these cars will attest to that. That, you know, it doesn't take much to get this thing, you know, putting out some crazy lap times, or, you know, killing an autocross. And that's why these things are a decent option if you don't want to go the Miata route. You get a little bit more space, obviously. You get the rear seats that are usable if you don't have kneecaps. And you gotta definitely use more usable trunk. And a car that potentially doesn't rattle or have crazy wind noise because it's not a convertible. Weighs roughly about the same as the Miata. Makes about the same power as the Miata. So, you know, these are always an option. The RX-8 was nearing its end of life when the FRS first came out, and that was also another option if you wanted to have rotary power. But people are afraid to have Doritos in their life, but that is still on my list of cars to own one day. Would love an R3, but those are just as hard to find as decent condition RX-8s. So for those of you who know, most of the time for the fully modified runs, we're going to do at least 3 laps. Sometimes you might need a 4th or 5th, but either I've become very good at driving this course, or this car is just doing exactly what I want it to do. We might not need this 4th lap, but we're going to do it anyway because this thing is just fun to drive. And as you can see in the Ghost, I did opt for the duckbill spoiler. I think these cars look great with them. You can always, I mean, nothing wrong with the deck lid, like a big wing or a chassis mount, but something about the duckbill on this car just cleans up all the lines. Oop. Lap 4 was binned. Alright, well anyway, let's finish this lap up and see where we had ended up in the ranking boards. This car is great. I know I give boxer engines crap, but when I don't have to work on them and I can just click a button on a video game, I will drive the crap out of them. Alright, so let's go back here. Stock form, we did a 104.360. It's still slower than the Focus ST. Look at that. Wow, and I thought I was doing pretty good with it. Focus ST did a 51.997. the GT86 knocked out a 52.520. That is interesting. I think that does knock off the SFR from the top 10, however. And yep, the GT86 has made it to the top 10 of our ranking boards. So anyway, that's today's video. Again, we are just going to do, when it comes to the twins, we're only going to do the Toyota twins, the Toyota side. We're not going to do anything with the Subarus. I apologize, not really. I just don't feel like redoing the same videos, essentially. But anyways, go ahead, give a like, comment, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to shut up now, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.